Okay, so I'm in Fruit Heights. I'd made an acquaintance with Brent and Marvell Tixon, and some of their family, and Nathan is on his mission in Roanoke, Virginia mission, and I get a call from Brent Tixon that says, "Jay, would you like to buy 5¼ acres?" And I had this feeling just come upon me. It says, this is where you need to be. Feeling. Just the impression of the Holy Ghost coming on me in such a strong feeling. And I said, yes, I'll buy it. And he says, do you want to know where it is? And I says, Brent, yes, I'd like to know where it is too. And so he told me and gave me the address. What Brent had done is he came down, he was looking for property, and he was walking around knocking on doors. And he knocked on Doug Henry's door, and Doug Henry says, I have 21 acres that I would break into 5¼ acre segments, but I want to sell it all at once. I don't want to sell it piecemeal. And Brent says, okay, I'll find some buyers for the 5¼ acres. And so he called me and told me where it was. And I says, yes, I'll come down and see it. So we came down and looked at the property. It was a cornfield. It was a flat cornfield. And I thought, well, what can I do here? I'll offer him maybe $5,000 down and $500 a month. And the feeling came to me, this is before we met with Doug, no, you need to offer $10,000 down and $1,000 a month. And I'm thinking, okay, I'll go my way first. And Doug Henry, I offered him my $5,000 and $500 a month, and he says, no way. And I says, well, how about $10,000 down and $1,000 a month? It's $35,000 for this 5¼ acres. So anyway, I came back with what the Lord told me to offer him, and he says, yes, I'll take that. And so that's what we did. So we bought this 5¼ acres for $35,000. I got me a little Ford tractor, and I started grooming the land and working it. We cut the foundation. Sorrel and her friends would help me lay. We did the foundation with foam blocks, and then poured concrete into the foam blocks for the foundation. So our basement is just so insulated and so warm. It's so easy to heat. And then we did in-floor heat. So this floor has coils in the floor, and it's driven by a boiler, and so that's how the house is heated, is in-floor heat. But anyway, I built the house. I had pictures of Jenna up in the rafters with a nail gun, shooting nails and putting the rafters in place. And, the kids kind of helped. David was on his mission. Nathan was up to college. And Camille was kind of in and out. She was working into preschools and things like that. Had horses, and when I got rid of the kids, I got rid of the horses. that was an easy decision. But we had a couple of horses and cows. Got rid of the cows. Used to raise beef. Tried doing that. Raising hay. Didn't like doing hay. And so finally, I started planting trees. And I've got out back, I've got 200 peach trees. I've got 100 apple and pear trees. And this Saturday, interesting, we're going to be pressing apple juice. And that's fun because I built a grinder. I took a garbage disposal, put a half-horse motor on the end of it, and we drop the apples in it, and it comes out applesauce. And then we take the applesauce, put it in the press, and press it down, and the juice flows out. And the kids get cups, and they just catch the juice as it comes out there and drink it. And I don't know what their home life is We're talking grandkids. I don't know what their home life is for the next 2 or 3 days, but they sure drink a lot of apple juice. Then Jenna and Tasha, they bottle it and freeze it and do this, whatever they do. But we have fun pressing it out. And I built a cooler out there in the barn. It's a big walk-in cooler, it's 12 foot wide and about 20 feet long. And so right now that's full of apples. And we've been collecting for the juicing of the apples. When we moved down in '93 and started building the property, I got involved with the Allstate agents. There was quite a group that would meet for lunch, and JoAnn became a really, really good friend of Rebecca's and mine. And I think we've got a picture of a small group of us with the packs and JoAnn, and she was, her husband had passed away. But we'd gone to Cancun together as a group of agents and spouses, and we'd been down to into southern Utah doing things. We did different things, and we'd meet once a month for dinner. And then Rebecca had dementia for about 10 years. And right there, the last year of her life, she couldn't really leave the home. So we'd meet here in the home, and the Allstate agents would come here, and Rebecca would be able to join us that way for those agent get-togethers. And so JoAnn was a good friend that over the 20 years of time, it was just a good association with all of those agents. And the reason I mentioned JoAnn is because eventually I wound up marrying her after Rebecca had passed away. Well, like I said, she had dementia for about 10 years. We took her to the neurologist, and the neurologist gave us this medication, says this will help with dementia. We gave it to her, and it zeroed out her personality and everything. She just zeroed it, and so we got her off of the medication. And, you know, Rebecca was always very, very bright, very fun, and she would hide things. She'd pick up the remote, and she'd go and put it somewhere. She wasn't hiding it. She was putting it where she thought it might belong. And sometimes I'd find it tucked among the burners of the range. And she would move things around, and it was very interesting. One day I couldn't find her. She wasn't in the house. She wasn't in the yard. And we trained the dog, Ranger, to find Mimi. She went by Mimi with the kids. And so I go to Ranger. I said, "Find Mimi," and he takes off across the field. And I thought, did the dog know what I said? And so I follow him across the field, and there she is at the neighbor's house, in tears, trying to get in, thinking that was her house. And, you know, it's okay. Brought her back home and got her settled down. But, you know, dementia is difficult. And you don't die from dementia. You always die from something else. She was about 60 pounds when she passed away. She'd dropped weight tremendously. But she passed away here in this room. We had a hospital bed, and she passed. In fact, she was not the only one to pass away here, because she had a cousin that passed away at our back door, dropped of a heart attack. And then my mom and dad, we brought mom and dad in to live with us. And mom passed away here, and dad lived with us for 3 years before he passed away. And so and then Bibi passed away here. So, and then Rebecca. So I've had 5 people die in this home. So Jenna is living in Colorado. Dave is working for one of the defense companies. And Jenna says, we'll come up. So Jenna moves up with her family. She has 6 kids, and moves up, and it's a big house, and so we had plenty of room for her to come up. And Dave sold the home, quit his job, and moved up here to be with us, and then got to be working with a printing company, and then he started working with a company that follows tornadoes and hurricanes and predicts the destruction of them, which he does now. But being very, very successful in his own right. Yeah, I retired to take care of Rebecca. I didn't really ever plan on retiring, but my partner bought my half of the business and has become very successful with the business since my retiring. But yeah, I retired to take care of Rebecca, and then she passed away. And after the funeral, Camille says, "Why don't you take JoAnn out?" Camille knew JoAnn because Camille worked for me there in the office, and so she knew JoAnn just through the business contacts. And JoAnn had gone through just a really difficult divorce and had been single for about 3 years. And I said, "Sure, why not?" So I called JoAnn up and I says, "Would you like to go out? We'll meet at the Olive Garden." And so she drove to Olive Garden and I drove to Olive Garden, and that was our first date. There we met at Olive Garden and talked and to see if we had enough in common that we'd want to do more with it. And this is just right after Rebecca passed away, and so we started dating, and she was already sealed to her husband who had passed away, Dave Adams. And so we were married civilly by our bishop here in our home. And then that was in March. So it wasn't a very long courtship, but we knew each other. Yeah, and married JoAnn. We did a temple session that morning, went and did an endowment there in the Payson Temple, then came back and were married in the great room here in our home. About October of 2019, we decided that we wanted to go on a mission. We put in our papers, and we got a call to New Zealand to go into the mission home in March of 2020. And so we went down to BYU. We got our shots. They did the shots. They did all the pre-medical stuff. We went shopping. We got all of our clothes for our mission, got our suitcases. We were all packed and ready to go, and got all of our papers in order and the visas and doing all of this work. And we were ready. And just about that time, just about January, I was driving, and I said, JoAnn, whoever painted the lines on this road did really a bad job because the lines are going really wavy. And JoAnn says, "What?" And she says, "We need to go see the eye doctor." And so we went into Dr. Lloyd, and he says, "You need to go see the macular doctor." And I've been suffering from macular degeneration. And he says, "Well, the good news is that you're going to be dry for a while. Your eyes are going to be dry, and then they're going to go wet." And I says, "And when they go wet, then we give you shots in your eyes to make them dry." And I says, "Okay, and then that makes them better?" And he says, "No, then you'll go blind." So we're coming up for the mission, and my eyes are dropping off. And COVID has just come in, and everybody is panicking about COVID. And we're to go into the mission home in March of 2020. And we get a letter 1 week before we go into the mission home. It says, "Your mission has been temporarily delayed till July because New Zealand is no longer allowing travel." So we, okay, and so we stand ready, and my eyes are getting worse. And we get to July, and we get another letter. "New Zealand is still closed. You are indefinitely delayed on your mission." At that point, we had contacted a doctor out of Ohio that specialized in macular treatment, and he got me onto supplements that kept my eyes. My eyes are still dry. It's been 4 or 5 years. Eyes are still dry, and we go into the doctor, and he says, "What are you doing?" I says, "Oh, we're taking these supplements." And he says, keep taking the supplements." And he says, "It looks like you're going to be able to move forward with your eyes like they are for the rest of your life." So we're counting on that. But anyway, our mission was delayed, and then by the time we finished our whole mission, the 1.5 years, they released us from our mission, and New Zealand was still closed. The interesting thing, I would have been doing the financial things, the books for the missionaries, and the cars and the apartments and all of this, and I physically would not have been able to do it. We called on a mission, ready to go, didn't go, and released without. Later on, we went on a cruise out of Hawaii down through Tahiti and New Zealand and over to Australia, and so we got to kind of get a sampling of our mission. But that was about the length of it right there, and that was just after New Zealand had opened. So growing old is a process, and when you're a teenager, you think that life never ends, and that's where I was. I mean, I've been lost on the mountains. I've been lost in the mountains. I've been stuck on cliff faces and thinking that maybe I would never survive, and did. Doing things that maybe I shouldn't have been doing, but when you're young, you're immortal. And when you're old, you look back and say, the Lord has really taken care of you and blessed you. The Lord has opened up doors and put me in places where I needed to be all my life. Doctrine and Covenants, section 84, verse 88 says, "I'll go before your face, I'll be on your right hand, I'll be on your left hand, and the way is prepared for you." And everybody's journey is different, but the journey with the Lord, I can tell you, is a lot easier than the other alternatives. And so often, I look at my grandkids, and some of them are embracing a good journey with the Lord, and it doesn't mean it's going to be easy. It means it's going to be challenging, but it's going to be good. And then I see some that have taken courses away from that. That's going to be a rough journey. You're going to have the happiness, and things are going to happen that are good, but it's not the long-term eternal journey that you're going to be wanting to have when you're 80 years old and looking back. I have a deep testimony of the restoration of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints and the Lord's hand in my life. He's been there my whole life. He's kept me from falling off cliffs, figuratively and literally, and kept me on paths that have blessed my life and hopefully blessed the lives of others.